just a boy. Christmas brought so much joy. Couldn't wait for the presents and laughter. I couldn't sleep late at night, looking for Santa with lights. Those are the memories I still remember. Then I became a man, lost sight of who I am. But right in front of me was the answer. 'Cause on Christmas I feel joy, and I turn back to a boy. The answer is to stay young forever. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song. This is not a Christmas, this is not a Christmas song.
Hello, Star Wars fans. Hey, do you know there's 250 days until Christmas 2024? And I started the show off wrong, but there we are anyway. Hey, Meg, thanks for joining us today.
No problem.
It's
I was
good to see
advising Obi-Wan on Tatooine.
And I did not know, but today is Anakin's birthday.
It is. It's
And-
Hayden Christensen's birthday.
Anakin Skywalker, right here in the chat. It says Santa. It's my birthday tonight. So happy birthday, Anakin. Hello. And Will Morgan, good to see you here as well. I'm so happy to get to talk Star Wars with you today. And just to be fully transparent to everybody else, Meg and I were visiting before, and I just told her I would sit here and just talk to her for an hour. But it was time for the show. So we had to stop just to talk to you guys about Star Wars. And super excited to get to do that today with one of my bestest friends. It's fantastic.
It's great to talk to you too. You know, Santa, I'm one of the those who died in Order 66. That's why I'm a Force ghost.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yes. But
Okay.
Disney hasn't told my story yet, so
Well, you know, the good news there is they could tell it 2 or 3 times. It might be a little bit different each time.
that's true.
Yeah.
They could
You
do it in
don't
the
get
comic and change the clone trooper.
right. You might get a different color lightsaber. You know, it's exciting. It's fun.
I agree.
Oh my goodness. Thank you all for being here. And Meg, I did not put in the topics today, but I just saw a thing about it, and you covered it as well. Tony Gilroy just said some exciting things about the upcoming season of The Acolyte. At least I think it's exciting. You want to give everybody a quick lowdown on what he said and what you think?
Yeah, sure. So Tony said Andor Season 2 is the most exciting and important project he's ever done. And I kind of
Yeah.
took that to mean the significance of it. I think he really, he's really in his element with Andor. He's been very much inspired by real world revolutions and socio-political things. And I think he does a great job of really making it Star Warsy and not, making it obvious a specific revolution or whatever he's alluding to. And I think that takes some talent.
Well, especially since he's not like the biggest Star Wars nerd in the world, right?
Exactly.
It's fascinating, and I think a lot of people may be starting to adjust some of their thinking on this. That you can have a director like Tony Gilroy, who's not a super fan of Star Wars. He's familiar with it. I mean, who's not? But he's not reading the books. He's not reading the comics, graphic novels, playing the video games. He's not doing any of that stuff. And as it goes, he only really is focused on what he is, the story he's telling and the time period he's telling it within. Yet Andor, I think for those of us who have enjoyed Andor, and I only hesitate because I know there's a population of Star Wars fans who are not like super into Andor, right? Some
Mhm.
people checked out really early, said, this isn't the Star Wars for me. But for those of us who did enjoy Andor, it may be one of the most Star Warsy of the Star Wars things that have been on Disney Plus. Would you agree with that?
I think so. I think it's one of the stronger TV shows. And I do sympathize with people who didn't like it because I can see the perspective of it being so different to the Skywalker saga and the shows like Mando and Ahsoka. And I do think it benefited me personally to have seen the premiere sat in a cinema because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the first 3 episodes would have held up as well for me on a small screen. But when you get past um, Luthen taking Andor under his wing, for me that's like peak Star Wars right until the end of the season. But the first 3 episodes, I think, is where a lot of fans gave up, and you often hear people saying they can get past what's it called, Cass. I think the
Mm-hmm.
episode.
Well, I think for a lot of other people, Star Wars, I just saw this come across as well, and I commented on it on Twitter. A, a really big name, I'll just go ahead and say Star Wars Theory put out a tweet saying, for Star Wars, is it just the story of Anakin and Luke, or is it something more expanded than that? Just kind of getting general opinion. And I do know that there is a healthy population of Star Wars fans that is Star Wars. It's the story of Anakin, if you will, right? His rise, fall, and redemption that takes place during the prequel and original trilogy era. Anything outside of the Skywalker saga, not really Star Wars for them. In And I would say you could expand that a little more to say, if it doesn't feature Jedi Force users and lightsabers, then it's doesn't feel like Star Wars for a big portion of the fandom. So you get a story like Andor that has none of that, right? It does take place during the era, but it doesn't feature the Skywalkers, and it doesn't feature Jedi Force users lightsabers. So that is, I think, a prerequisite for a good group of people, and Andor just immediately kind of turns them off. So I think for the rest of us, whatever size of that population, who just like to be immersed into that world, into the world building, and into the expanded universe, if I can use that term in this context, Andor is fantastic because you get a little bit, well, a lot of the sense of what it is to be a citizen living in those conditions, and what it might be like for you or me if we were living in that kind of world. And I absolutely love it, and I'm super excited that Andor season 2, Tony Gilroy sees it in such high esteem. Right, one of the most important things that he's ever worked on. That's exciting to me. So,
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. Well, as it gets closer, we'll see how that goes. I see some comments in the chat about it as well. And Real Ben was, I just missed, but I'll go ahead. Brandon says Rogue One and Andor, what if Warner Brothers owned Star Wars instead of Disney? Except both of those are Disney Star Wars projects. So there's that. Real Ben says, I've said it since the first season. If they ramped up the action by 25 to 30%, he would have enjoyed the show. He's as serious as a show watcher as there can be, but I think Star Wars needs action. Okay, fair. Fair. Yachty. I had the privilege of getting to meet Yachty in person. We were able to visit, and then she came to a Comic-Con in Indianapolis. We got to spend more time together. And Yachty, huge fan of Star Wars animation. And she said it should be animated. Just animating it alone would make it better. Leave that for what it is, right? Yachty's a good friend of mine. Yeah, it's a great show. It's a great show. Speaking of animation, though, there's some discussion around the Bad Batch episode 13 from this week, and I talked about it yesterday. We had a community stream, and Jedi Mike came on and talked about it. And you see in the thumbnail today, we put the Zillo Beast in there because Alan at Generation Tech put out a fairly good theory. Have you seen Alan's video on this, Meg?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, good. This will be fun. So Alan, and I know you're a fan of Alan's too. He's a good guy. He theorized that in that other mountain, right? We see two mountains on Weyland. One is Tantus. The other doesn't necessarily have a name, but
hang on. Did Alan say this, or did I say it?
Well, Alan said in the second mountain, he thinks that the Zillo Beast is being
I'm pretty
housed.
sure that was my video.
Oh, you said that as well? Well,
I just checked his channel. I think we posted the same video, but mine was last week.
Okay. Yeah, he posted his, I want to think yesterday or day before. He posted it Tuesday. But he thinks the Zillo Beast is in that other one, and that by releasing the Zillo Beast, letting the Zillo Beast wreak havoc could destroy Tantus, destroy both of the mountains, destroy Project Necromancer that's going on at the facility where Omega is being held, as well as the other mountain. And the speculation run wild. Yesterday, I spent some time thinking about it and talking about it. And, we've heard some tragic nature of the show. This is simply a what if. The Zillo Beast gets loose, wreaks havoc, ends up killing everybody, and only a few people survive. Meaning, maybe it's Omega and her sister, right? Maybe it's her sister who saves Omega from dying when the Zillo Beast is wreaking havoc everywhere, and the rest of the batch perish on the planet.
I would hate that.
It would be sad. Be tragic.
I think that's awful. Not because it's sad, I just think that's lazy.
You think it's lazy. Okay, well, it just came out of my brain.
I prefer the Darth Vader theories. Not that I think Darth Vader will appear. I'd rather Darth Vader deals with Tantus than the Zillo Beast again.
Well, I don't know if we'll get Vader though, right?
I don't think we'll get Vader, but I'd hope we don't get the Zillo Beast again.
Well, they kind of set it up.
Part of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, they set it up in season 2.
I know,
right?
I know.
And early in this season, when Palpatine came and visited Tantus, he said it was oh shoot, what's his name? Hemlock, right? Said something about the other project, and he's like, I don't care so much about the other project. I'm concerned about this one, right? Mm-hmm. So they've mentioned it even in this season. They've set it up so it absolutely could be part of a huge distraction. And I mentioned yesterday, one thing that the Zillo Beast could do was create the distraction that allows a small team right? We've only got the 4 members of the batch coming to get into the facility where Omega and the other children are, and to get them out. If the Zillo Beast is wreaking havoc and they can get in there, that would provide the distraction they need. So, Kanshu, $5 super chat, said, I don't think we get Vader. I don't think Palpatine would even want Vader to know about Necromancer.
You should read the comics. He does.
Yeah, Vader knows. Yeah, in fact, Vader knows about Weyland's in my head. The place in Rise of Skywalker.
Yes, Exegol.
Exegol. Yeah, Vader knows about Exegol as well. So,
did you ever read that comic series where Hera goes to Mustafar?
No, I haven't read hardly any comics at all.
I can't remember its name. If someone remembers, please remind me the title. But that is awesome. I think Vader knew more than he lets on, and he saw Luke's hand from Bespin on Exegol as well.
Yeah, I saw the outtake of that and people getting sideways about it, right? People were just like losing their minds about it. It's here nor there. For me, it's in the comics, and I'm not able to keep up with the comics. Part of it for me, I was into comics huge as a kid because I would go down to the grocery store and they had these racks where you could get a pack of 3 comics, and you could see the front of 2, right? They're facing each way. And the one in the middle, you had no idea what it was. And all of those comics had the cover sliced in half. So they were super cheap. You could get a pack of 3 comics for like pennies on the dollar, right? It was super cheap. And I would get those all the time. And I had tons of comics that I read. I was really into DC, Superman, and all of that. So any of those 3 packs that had like a Superman, I would grab them, and then I would read whatever else was in there. And typically the one in the middle was a junk comic that nobody wanted. But and then I collected the entire DC Crisis on the Crisis series back in the late 80s. And I've still got it. And I tried to keep up with collecting, but it's so expensive. And the comics got shorter and shorter, and you're paying a lot of money for just a few pages of content. And I just stopped. And I want to get back into reading comics. I'm just not able to keep up with it. But that would be something on my wish list for sure. So, yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths, such a great series, probably the best comic book series of all time. All time. Supergirl dies. It's just great. It's great.
Speaking of Supergirl,
yeah,
one of the cast members is now in the Acolyte.
Yes. So we speculated. That's a really good transition. I want to come back to the Bad Batch, but since I mentioned it, and Bespin put this article today. He's reporting on it. It didn't source from him. He got it from the Hot Mic. But the Martian Manhunter, David Harewood, is reportedly cast in the Acolyte. Now, this is a little bit confusing to me because this is sort of after the fact, because the Acolyte's done filming. It sounds like he's cast for the future. I have not read this. Have you read the context of it yet?
I have.
Okay, what's the short of it?
The short is that he's got a small, significant role in the show. And if you know anything about David Harewood, he voiced Mr. Door in Alan Wake 2, the video game. And he's really known for like a resonant baritone voice. And it got me thinking, is he going to be like the Sith right at the end of the show, but we just hear his voice?
I saw that you had theorized that he could be um, the voice of either way, right? Plagueis being a moon, he could voice Plagueis, or better yet, it'd be very easy for him to voice um, uh, Tenebris,
Mhm.
because Tenebris wears that mask anyway, right? Um, and he's a Bith. For most people, they don't know what a Bith is. Bith is like Fingering Dan in the A New Hope
Did you
in the
say
Cantina.
fingering Dan?
I did. You, I did. And I knew when I said it, I was
Fingering
like,
Dan.
"Oh, Brian, why did you say that? You should have just like I should have. I, I, I knew, Meg. Was, it was a slip. Figuring Dan. He's a member of the modal nodes. Speaking of the modal nodes, look at me trying to change the subject again. Fortnite is this guy. Look, it's Darth Tenebris right there playing the bassoon. That's the species of Darth Tenebris, this guy here. And it's one of the skins that they're providing for Fortnite. And you can see they've also got a Leia and a Chewie. And May 4th, this isn't the first time Fortnite has featured Star Wars, but we're getting a little bit more. And Baymax, I knew. Look, there's a thing about Fingering Dan, and the reason that the fingering came in is because if you look at the characters that Hasbro made of these, there was a focus on their fingers because there's a certain aesthetic to their hands that drew a little attention, shall we say. And I'll leave it there. Baymax can share photos with us on Discord if he likes, but that's as far as I'm going. If you've seen it, you've seen it. If you know, you know. So,
Do we know which member of the modal nodes was in Book of Boba Fett?
The modal nodes, were they? Yeah.
The
wasn't what's his name in there?
Max Rebo.
Max Rebo, right? Max Rebo
But there was
was
also
there.
Beth. He was the
Okay.
one. He was fingering Dan, fingering his G-string.
I shouldn't have done it. I should have known better. When I said it, I tried to keep going, but there's no way that you were going to let that that slip make it without calling me out. So, oh my gosh, now I'm flustered. I'm getting hot. I'm embarrassed. What was I did? What was I talking about? What was I saying?
The Acolytes.
I was talking about the Acolyte. That's right. That's right. So we could absolutely have. We could absolutely. And the chat now is done. Right. The chat. We're finished. Bye, everybody. Bye. No, just kidding. No, the Acolyte. David Harewood is rumored to be in it, and it's a little thing. The way that it's worded, like he's cast in it, like he's going to be in it, but that is already in the can. That's already been recorded. So it is interesting if you will have a recognizable role where we like, oh, there he is. Look, Martian Manhunter. He's right over there sitting at the bar. Or maybe one of the Jedi who shows up. It's hard to say. So more to come. We'll find out. But I wanted to go back to the Bad Batch. I really wanted to go ahead.
Oh no, sorry. I was just acknowledging.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I wanted to go back to the Bad Batch because I'm going to be on vacation next week, and I want to really, first of all, give you credit for getting me thinking about it. You started talking about some of your thoughts about how the series might end, specifically as it relates to other animated series. We look at how Rebels ended and the Clone Wars. And at the end of both of those series, there was a significant time jump into a bit of an epilogue kind of scene.
Mhm.
And the speculation then becomes, might that happen in the Bad Batch? Is that likely? And if it is, and I think that it is, where might it go? What are your, and this is just theorizing, right? We're just making up what we might like to see. What might you like to see as an epilogue scene in the Bad Batch?
So I can't really say because since we spoke about this, I've actually heard something. So I'm going to have to pretend I don't know and
Okay,
come up with what I want to happen, if that
okay,
makes sense.
it does.
Ideally, everyone survives. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it'd be nice to see where Omega goes after all of this. And if she's training with a Sarge or if she's a bounty hunter. I think that's kind of where my head is at.
Yeah, I agree. And yesterday when I was thinking about it and I was talking to Jedi Mike about it, just some ideas came to my mind. In the Rebels epilogue, and to some degree Ahsoka, but more specifically, the Rebels epilogue led us directly into the Ahsoka series, into the live action introduction of that story. And if we were to see some sort of bridge event that gets Omega from animation to live action, what might that be? And
I would
I could,
say consider the fact Tales of the Empire releases very shortly after the Bad Batch.
true, and we've got two significant stories as a part of that, right?
Hmm.
So I was thinking about how we could bridge, and if Omega goes with Asajj and they're training, they're doing something on Dathomir, then the epilogue scene could be the jump forward. You see Omega fully grown and Asajj on Dathomir, and you look up and the Chimera jumps into orbit right above them, leading us to right when Thrawn shows up at the end of Ahsoka season 1 at Dathomir, and then that would tie us directly into the Mandoverse, into the Ahsoka series, and into live action.
That's interesting.
That'd be one way to do it. Not saying that's the case, but I still think there might be a really strong argument about Emery saving Omega as things are blowing up and the whole facility is imploding. Emery goes and breaks them out into some sort of escape vessel, and we see Emery with Omega and the Force children escape before Mount Tantus explodes caused by, and I know you don't like it, but caused by the Zillo Beast, right? The Zillo Beast wreaking havoc destroys Tantus and all of the projects going on there. Maybe not all the people, but definitely the projects. I could see that being a way the show ends. So if that were the case, if Emery ends up, and I wanted to ask you about this as well. if Emery ends up taking Omega and we get a time jump, I think Emery is actually younger than Omega, and that she's aged up. She's got the age enhancing gene or whatever. She would be too old by the time we get to like the Mandoverse, right? She'd be very old anyway. Where would this is the theory we came up with yesterday? If Emery takes her, we could come back towards the end of Emery's life. Omega's grown, and they come back to Weyland, which is now completely overgrown because Tantus was destroyed, and Omega coming to see the place where her brothers died, right? Or some of them died. One of them died. Whatever, right? That could be another way we get a time jump, is Omega coming back to kind of visit the place her brothers died.
I'm still convinced Lama Su will kill Rampart.
You think Lama Su?
Because he's still alive, but we've not seen him.
Yeah, we haven't seen Lama Su in a hot minute. It's been a while.
And as revenge for Camino, I can imagine the creatives on the show being like, we're going to get the representative of Camino to kill the guy who destroyed Camino.
Yeah.
It's like poetry, it rhymes.
It's like poetry. So Rizma's like, take it back. Right? Don't say that. Rampart's Rizma's new favorite member of the batch.
I have a crazy theory.
Yeah.
I want to know what you think of this.
Sure.
Dr. Pershing is Emery's son.
Yes. I love it.
He mentioned his mother.
Yes, I absolutely love it. Which would make him Omega would be his aunt, right? Omega's nephew, Dr. Pershing. That'd be cool. That would be really cool. So we could time jump forward. Emery could save Omega. We time jump forward, not as far, but we see Emery with a young child, either an infant or a little kid playing, and he calls out, what's Pershing's first name?
Pen.
What'd you say?
Pen.
Pen?
Yeah, Pen.
Yeah. So she could be calling out, Pen, be careful, something like that. You'd be like, oh, there you have it. That'd be cool.
That'd be very cool.
I love it. I love it. And you could have them at the you could have them at the little pond, and Penn is out there playing with the frogs in the water, and you've got Omega and Emery sitting back on the rocking chairs on the porch.
And then Grief Karga comes in and gives them a bottle of something.
Yes. There you go.
But if that's true, then we know how Emery dies, because Pershing mentioned his mum died of heart failure. But that can affect anyone.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. So it could be a fun tie-in to the Mandoverse era. I love the theory. So I'm going to be gone next week, so I really wanted to talk about this with you today. 2 weeks from now, I'll be back to talk about the show after the finale, and we can see, how did it end? Was there an epilogue? What's that epilogue look like? So those of you in the chat, and if anybody is watching this after the fact, leave a comment. Let us know. What do you think the epilogue could be? We've thrown out lots of different theories, some of them better than others. But at this point, we have no firm answers. And I credit you, Meg, for making me think about there being an epilogue scene and how it fits in with the other animated series, and why wouldn't there be one, right? Yeah, that's
I
good.
also think we might see Palpatine move his operations away from Tantis to Exegol.
Yeah, well, that would support the theory of Tantus being destroyed, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the Zillo Beast destroys Tantus, it also puts an end to the theories that the Mando movie is going to be heir to the Empire. If Tantus is destroyed, then that's that, right? You're not going to get a retelling of going to Tantus with a Joris Simonoff type character. All of that would be gone.
I
Right.
think we're beyond that point, to be honest. I think any possibility of Heir to the Empire being adapted is completely lost. And I also think that the Thrawn stuff with the Night Sisters is the direction they're taking instead of Sabaoth.
Yeah, I think so too. And as Jason Ward got me thinking of it a long time ago, and he started warning me about it a long time ago, that they don't adapt books in, and it goes back to George Lucas's. Like he took the idea of Coruscant from Timothy Zahn. There's different elements of Legends material that George would say, "Oh, I like the idea of that," or the name of this, or whatever, and he would use it. And we see the same sort of thing going on now with Filoni and the current group at Lucasfilm, where they're grabbing certain elements. And so when people started thinking about, and even I've played around with the idea of like the Lost Fleet and all of that, the borrowing ideas like Weyland and Tantus, sure, but having a replay where you would see that kind of thing from the Heir to the Empire book series, and in that series they go to Tantus and have a big thing. I just saw something happen.
There is a hill I'm willing to die on.
Yeah.
Hemlock is the foundation of Snoke. Because Snoke talking about seeing the rise and fall of the Empire, a lot of characters have been kind of, scrapped off that list of theories. And Hemlock kind of looks like Snoke. He's got his eyes. I know the process was more intricate, but I can imagine some of his DNA being used, and maybe his punishment for everything going wrong in this season might be that he's, I don't know, thrown into a test tube.
Could be. And we know something's going on. He's been like massaging his hand the same way
exactly.
Crosshair did, right?
I do have to pop out for literally just a couple of minutes, but I'll be right back.
Okay, we'll see you in a second. Will Morgan says the epilogue scene is of old bearded clones pulling Omega from Amber while singing "Hi ho, hi ho." Will, I will say yesterday when we were debating about or theorizing about different kind of endings, just to throw you a bone. So this is a meta egg Will Morgan bone. I'll throw it out there. The ending of the Bad Batch could be Omega being put in carbonite or that amber and put away into storage somewhere, taken away. Much like at the end of Rebels, where Ezra and Thrawn go away. And then there's this quest to find them, right? And it takes some time to find them. At that point, then we could have the time jump forward to the remaining batch members who are alive, much in the epilogue scene of Rebels, where Ahsoka returns back to Sabine and says, "I found him. Let's go," kind of thing. You could end up with the batch coming back where we found her. Let's go, to go break Omega free from the carbonite or Amber. So there you go. That's throwing you a bone. I don't think that's going to happen, but there you have it. It's possible. Who knows? I could be wrong. Real Ben. So we all kind of agreeing that the Emperor and whatever punishment will happen to Hemlock this season, I just feel like it was foreshadowing for something to happen to Hemlock. We might see Hemlock burn up in the destruction of Tantus. We could see the Zillo Beast, Jurassic Parking, just grab him up and pop, gone. Right? We could see that kind of thing with Hemlock as well. Yeah, I think we will see the end of Hemlock at the end of the season. He's a goner. He's a goner. Baymax likes the theory that he could be a screwed up mutant Hemlock. That's possible. That's possible. Let's see. Oh, we're getting some. Let's see. Will says, I don't see why that would not be the Mando movie where all these three threads meet. Could be. We'll see. I want to think of somewhere else. There's another story that broke this last week, and we got some more detail on it this week. And then I see there's some stuff coming into Discord chat. Then I may share some of that with you just a little bit. The other news that came out is around this other game that has had a bit of controversy out there, and it's I keep saying it wrong. What's the name of that? Outlaws. So the new Outlaws, where the trailer came out and the game is being released in August, there's a bit of controversy about the pricing tiers and what will be available to whom with those pricing tiers. One of the biggest controversies that got people kind of worked up is there's a scene in the trailer of hey, you're back. I was just bringing up the Outlaws story and how one of the scenes in the trailer was the main antagonist or the protagonist of the game showing up at Jabba's palace. Yes. And then there was some controversy that said, well, that's going to be behind a paywall where you have to buy the season pass to get that content. And so there was a bunch of videos made about it. But then True did a breakdown and got some information. And then the game makers themselves came out and shared more detail. That Jabba's Palace mission is part of the regular game. It's available to everybody on release. That is not behind a paywall. It's regular tier. It's going to be part of the game. Everybody will get to play it. There is an optional mission that side quest kind of thing that involves a different interaction with Jabba or Jabba's Palace that will only be available on release day to those who have the season pass. And True kind of broke down and said, that's not to say that, 6 months from now or at some point down the road that optional mission would not be made available to everybody else. It's only to say that at release, they will be the only ones that have access to this optional mission. So be that what it is, everybody on release day will have access to the entire game except some of these optional features that are behind the season pass. And those are only available on release day to the people who have the upgraded tiers. So
awesome.
Again, it's a little bit of of negative spin from some people who took a piece of the information and made a mountain out of a molehill. And just personally, I don't play any video games. There's personal reasons for that, and it's not something in my wheelhouse or something that I focus on. But look, capitalism to me is a good thing. And if you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. If you don't want to pay for it, don't pay for it. But if they can get people to pay 120 or 150, 160 bucks, I don't know, whatever it is, well, good on them. If somebody will pay for it and they can get people to pay for it, then great. If not, then they may have to take a look at their pricing strategy and make adjustments. But hey, I'm absolutely fine with them having these additional tiers, and pay for it or don't pay for it. That's up to you as a consumer, right? That's how free market works. That's how capitalism works. If they can get people to pay for it, good for them. I don't care. It's not something I'm going to get worked up about. What do you mean I've got to pay extra to play that? I don't play any of it. So is Outlaws on your interest list, Meg? I know you play some games.
I might wait for it to go down in price, but probably eventually.
Yeah, I saw where there's another option, some sort of subscription-based model where you can subscribe to Ubisoft's online gaming platform, and it's like, I don't know, $17 a month, $20 a month, something like that, and you'll have access to it online rather than paying $60 to own the game or $70, however much it is. I mean, who cares? You could pay $20 and play it for however long, and then step away. You're fine. Baymax said, I think the anger is they're locking content behind a paywall from day one. It's not like an expansion pack, which drops later. It's price gouging the fans in the worst way possible. Well, again, it's an optional mission that is like an expansion, except if you have the tier, you've unlocked that expansion on day one. It's not part of the essential gameplay. It's not a part of the main part of the game. It's an expansion piece that's optional play, and it's available to those that want to purchase it. I don't know. Yeah. I just saw your message on Discord. I have the same question, Meg.
Yeah. Jason showed a picture, and we're trying to work out what it's about.
Yeah, Jason sent us a screenshot of something, and I'm not clear what it is. I'm not. I can
teddy bear thing.
I can clearly see what it is. I just don't know what it ties to. I don't know what it's
banana
about.
With a lightsaber at the bottom.
It's funny because I watched Thor Skywalker or something, and he always talks about Bananakin Skywalker. And there's some of Thor's audience do these Bananakin memes just to give him a hard time. So,
I thought Bananakin was like a reference to some illustrious endowment.
No.
Why do they call you Bananakin? Do you want to find out? Like, I don't know. I didn't know where that was going.
No, Meg. just no. That's all I got to say. Let me share this so folks can see what we're talking about. Let me get it queued up here. It just takes a second, and I can get this reworked. Let's see. Yeah, Baymax is talking about doing the online thing that you don't own it. Physical format is loading a disc. Yeah. You won't own it if you're paying that $20 a month or whatever, right? So here's what we're talking about, you guys. you can see it's a Lego based something. I don't know what it is. It's a Fortnite Lego character. So this is some Fortnite stuff, I suppose. But you can see you've got a trooper back there. Here's the big teddy bear Meg was talking about. It's a big pink teddy bear with a broken heart, right? You've got, and it's
Aren't we
weird.
all big pink teddy bears with a broken heart
Yes,
on some
yes,
level?
yeah. There's your your contemplative message of the day. You can sit and contemplate on that. Am I a big pink teddy bear with a broken heart? Well, yes, I am. So,
True.
but you've got a protocol droid wearing suspenders. Presumably that's 3PO, but we don't. 3PO wearing suspenders with some tools there. Rebel pilot. You got Finn over here and Chewie.
I
And
don't
then
think that's Finn. I think that's Zana.
I don't know.
Zana? Jana? What's her name?
Jaina?
No, that's not Jaina. I don't know who that is, but it's not Finn.
You don't think so?
I don't think Finn has that hair.
I don't know. Then down at the bottom, this is what we're talking about. Banana and Skywalker down here. And you see a banana and a lightsaber, and there's you got an X-wing type, a TIE fighter, and they're shooting. And you got some banana down here with a lightsaber. I can only presume that that's Banana and Skywalker right there. This is fantastic.
Bananakin.
You gotta watch some Thor Skywalker stuff. They're all the time trolling him on Banana and Skywalker, and so there you go. There you go. That's what we're talking about. We don't know. We don't know what this is. Wait, could it be the guy who rescues Grogu? No,
No, unless he grew hair. That's not Kelleran. Also, Kelleran has his own minifigure coming up in the Escape from Coruscant scene pack set thing.
RF Gaming says that's Cuddle Team Leader. It's a Fortnite character. Lego Fortnite's his favorite mode right now. So there you go.
I think Will Morgan wants me to say something.
Of course he does. He's wanting you to impersonate Admiral Hugs.
I had a dream that Admiral Hux was from the deep south of America once. It didn't make sense until I woke up. Sorry, it made sense until I woke up, and then I realized he didn't have like a southern drawl. So that was my brain was like, say it with a southern accent, but I won't.
Yeah, no. That's good. That's good. So, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the whole thing on the video game is a bunch of political theater that has made its way from the gaming community into Star Wars, and Outlaws is being caught up in that. For those who aren't connected to it, there was something that happened a few years ago called Gamergate, and there's a whole mess around that where some female journalists and some gamers had a conflict, and things blew up from there. All kinds of mud slung all kinds of ways, death threats and nastiness, and overall just unhappiness spread its way throughout the gaming community. And Gamergate made its way into Comicgate, which kind of was another thing about how female characters were being represented in comic books. And now we're into essentially what is kind of being branded as Gamergate 2. And in Gamergate 2, they're hyper focused on the looks of female characters and storylines that have wokeness of whatever brand that might look like. And it's got a bunch of people up in arms, and we're having a big fight. I'm not part of the gamer community. I couldn't care less. But that's what's going on. When you see some of this noise around Outlaws, a lot of it has to do with how the female character, the protagonist in the story, how she physically looks, and some of the characters in the game, and all of that, right? So if the game's for you, great. Buy it, have fun. If the game's not for you, great. Don't buy it. Live your life.
Santa, speaking of comics, do you want to hear a funny story?
Oh, no.
It's a
I'm
bit
worried.
of a diversion, but I promise you it's something.
Okay.
My
Go
somewhat
for it.
local comic shop has a Star Wars section, a Marvel section, and they're all under new releases. And I've been going to this place for years. All of a sudden, there's a My Little Pony section. I didn't know My Little Pony had comics, but they do. And for whatever reason, for the last 3-4 months, they always put the My Little Ponies amongst the Vader comics. And I remember asking once, do you have the new Star Wars, I can't remember what it was called, it was one of the ones with the variant covers of Mon Mothma. And they said, oh, did you check the basket? And I said, I did. And with a straight face, this person goes to the comics, picks up the My Little Pony one, and says, is this the one you mean? And I'm pretty sure if you work in a comic shop, you can tell the difference between Star Wars and My Little Pony.
Well, where's David Tree when we need him? You've met David Tree with all the cool stuff. He owns a comic book store in your neck of the woods, so to say. Probably not your neighborhood, but he has a comic book and nerdy kind of store over in London. And he sells tons of My Little Pony stuff. He's got My Little Pony stuff at every nook and cranny of his store. It's the product moves, so there's more of it. That's how that works. So interesting.
I wonder if the comic book employee thought Disney Star Wars had gone so bad. They didn't question 2 hugging pink ponies on a front cover.
I doubt that's it. It's more a nature of some kid that doesn't know 2 beans about anything. Just be like, most people come in here looking for My Little Pony stuff. You ask a question I don't know the answer to. So here, you want a My Little Ponies comic? Is that what you mean? Like, no, that's not it.
It's like when Netflix recommends you something they think you'll like based on what you were watching before, and it's got nothing to do with it. It's like because you watched Hereditary, we think you'll like Is It Cake?
Well, I'll tell you, maybe you have this issue as well. My wife watches horror stuff. She likes all the horror things. My oldest daughter also really into the horror stuff. And so I watch a lot of nerdy stuff. I watch cartoons and things. And then when I log in, I get recommended like nerdy stuff, which is great. I love it. But every now and then my wife or my daughter will log in and hit my profile, not paying attention, and they'll watch the horror things. And I can always tell because all of a sudden my recommended content is not good at all. So it's as someone who has a significant other living with you, do you encounter the same thing where your girlfriend watches things that you don't like, but it shows up in your suggested stuff?
So similar, but I'll put on Netflix and it will suddenly be in German. Like she'll change the language setting. And I don't speak German. I don't speak German.
Yeah, she speaks German. You speak French.
I speak French.
Yeah. That's hilarious. every now and then, Google or YouTube decide that I want to speak Spanish, and I get commercials pop up in Spanish, and I'm like, no, I don't do.
Was it the beer ad, the Star Wars beer ad?
No,
Cerveza Cristal?
no, no. Matt Risman, The Last Jedi, is Santa's favorite horrible movie. No, Matt. You know what? Just this week, YouTube wasn't offering me anything to have playing while I'm doing my job, so I turned on the old Disney Plus and I watched The Force Awakens, and I rewatched The Last Jedi. And boy, I love those movies. I just enjoy them immensely. And I plan to watch the Rise of Skywalker soon, maybe today. We'll see. I don't know how this afternoon goes. I've got tons of meetings back to back today, so we'll see how it goes. But
I think you're Kathleen Kennedy's favorite customer.
Look, you've accused me of being such before. I'm the shillingest of Star Wars shills, Lucasfilm shills there is. I love Disney, Lucasfilm, Star Wars. For the most part, all of it has been great. Not every single thing I've loved, but far more than I've disliked, for sure. What else?
Because you watch The Rise of Skywalker, we recommend Coco Melon.
Right. I get your point. Oh my goodness, Meg. I have missed you, my friend. I have missed you so much. It's great to get to spend some time with you today, laugh, and just enjoy spending time together talking about Star Wars. So watch Rebel Moon Part 2 instead.
Is there a Part 2?
Yeah. I watched Rebel Moon Part 1. I was like, meh.
Do you remember when everyone was thinking it was going to be the next big sci-fi franchise?
Yeah. And it just didn't land for me. I was like, that movie was just mid. Like not even great. It was just mid. And then Part 2, I'll have to see. I'll get to it when I get to it. There's just no sense of urgency on my part to watch something that the first part just wasn't great. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've got to get back to work. We've got to let you get going on your day. Again, if you'll hang out for just a moment afterward, we can visit for a few more minutes before we call it. But Mike Porter, as he does, has given us another wonderful dad joke. And this one here, you got to be careful with. You got to be careful how you say it. It's why does the Bad Batch? Wait a minute, this is yesterday's dad joke. Santa, I didn't put in today's dad joke. Mike Porter sent it to me, but I didn't put it here, so I'm just going to have to read it. Why should Ventress be more popular with the bounty hunters? Why should Ventress be more popular with the bounty hunters?
I don't know.
Well, because when the bounty hunters are sore, she gives a good back massage. Got to be careful on how you say that. I've already slipped once, and you got to be careful where you pause in the statement. You can't put the pause in the wrong place. It just won't have the same effect. She gives a good back massage. There you go.
I wouldn't want to cross her or wreck her.
Wonderful. Do you want the thumbnail altered to include no Baymax? No, just no.
I don't think YouTube would allow you to do that.
Well, have you seen the images of the Hasbro figures of the Cantina band?
No.
Oh, you haven't seen what we're talking about? Baymax, you need to share it in the Discord with Meg and Jason. You need to get those pictures and put it in the Discord so Meg knows exactly what we're talking about. Right?
I think, well, Baymax is a musician, so he'll understand this. But there might be a guitar tutorial out there about how to finger the chords D, A, D. And in the thumbnail, you could put fingering D, A, D, and it reads very wrong.
It would. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Matt, you're aware. Like I was being careful in how I read that joke because it could come across wrong. It could come across wrong. Baymax will share with you the photo I'm talking about. The figure and Dan, the modal nodes, those figures that Hasbro released have special attributes. Let's see, did he do it? No. No. All right. With that, we're going to have to call it a day. And Real Ben says, shout out to Meg for always giving good videos, making every morning when I'm making breakfast. Yes.
Thank you, Ben.
Meg's the absolute best. I look forward to her videos every single day. And it's a great way to start my day as well. But Baymax is trying to find the photos, so he'll post them in a little bit. Meg, you'll enjoy it. I was hoping he'd get it on there before we closed because your reaction would be great. To get that live would just be fantastic. But people are going to just have to imagine it, and you can Google it. You might be able to find it. So with that, I think we're going to call it a day. I won't be back next week. I'll be on vacation. We're going to be down in Memphis, Tennessee. I will be back right before the season finale, the series finale of the Bad Batch. We'll still do the predictions game next week while I'm away, and I'll be watching the show, but I have to do it like on my phone or do it while I'm offline, and then we'll see that finale, and we'll come back to talk about it after the fact and see, was it a satisfying ending? Do we get a double length finale? Is it going to satisfy what we want? And then the bigger question I think that we're going to have coming out of that is what's next? What's next? What's the next big animated series? When will we see the surviving members of the batch again? In what context? In what show? Looking forward to that. So we'll talk about all of that 2 weeks from today when we come back. All right. Meg, thank you once again, my friend. And
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome. And for everyone else who's still here, thank you so much. We appreciate your support. And until next time, my friends, Merry Christmas, and may the force be with you always. Bye-bye.